Good morning, afternoon, evening, friends and family, loved ones. This is your friend Kelly, and I got a little bit of something in the mail. I got multiple somethings in the mail today, but I'm doing them in batches because I have had quite a bit of stuff that showed up today. And one thing that still hasn't, because UPS was out here in our area, but for some reason decided to go elsewhere. Anyway, this is from Mr. Jimmie, and he sent me, and I don't think I had this Women Carries Knives sticker, so awesome. I'm just gonna, he had these wrapped up nice and neat, and I sit there and I kind of undid them. I'm just telling you that. I kind of, let's see here, just shoved the majority of the stuff back in there. Let's make sure, there's that. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Like I said, he had it all nice and neat, and I get impatient. Me? Impatient? Never. Okay. Now, I don't know how many of you know, but I do resin skulls. I've done resin stuff off and on for, I guess, maybe a couple of years now. It's not something that I really promoted or did because I don't do it with any regularity. I do it when I take an urge and when I decide to have fun on this. Now, me and Mr. Jimmie were going back and forth, and he liked the skull, so I sent him some. Then he had the bright idea to make the skull be a knife stand, which he did some. He did like a small slot. I'm sure, yeah, you can see that, and which you can see I have my little poochie. He's meant to kind of stand up. He looks like a dog. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, the clip even has a little paw print on it. But he won't stand, and I like having him up on my little, right here, standing right there, along with my other knives and everything else I got there. Oh, there's cash. Wow. Okay, never mind. Anyway, I knew that was there. But what do is have that, and now he stands and he ain't falling on me every time I accidentally bang into the stupid shelf. So that works great. And of course I did my weird blue deal. But that's something I liked. But he decided to do, he was working with different ones, and he did this one. As you can tell, it's a little bit of a wider opening. And what I'm going to try and do with this, I'm probably going to take a little bit of sandpaper, thin sandpaper, and go down and just kind of smooth it out, maybe a little bit more in between there. And then make a silicone mold to see if I can do a pour with using this as the mold making thing, and see if that will work well. All I can do is try it and see, but it's something that I have some here that Mr. Jimmie trimmed that doesn't have as wide of an opening. It's like the one I just showed you. But these I think would be better for, let's see, do I have, now you figure this is still a relatively thin bladed knife, but you sit there and you have this. If you're wanting to have it propped up and you want to do it for pictures and have it propped up, you can. You can probably actually go further down on it and give it little bit more of an angle to do it. So, but it'll go, if you have some knives that are a little bit thicker behind the edge. I'm trying to sit here and think what I have that might be thicker behind the edge. That's not that thick behind the edge, but it's a little bit thicker once it gets past that point. So, so that way it helps to support it a little bit more. And if you want to take pictures, if you're getting down and doing it from straight on going this way, you can. So it's one of those things. I figure if people want them, if they're interested, they can reach out to me. I can tell them what I have in stock, and we can go from there. I mean, it's not something I'm going to be having a ton of. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to try making a mold where I can do one and make sure it seems to set up and will work well for me to pull that out of. And if it does, I will slowly, as I'm doing other ones for my beads, that I'm going to try doing a mold with a hole in it so I don't have to drill the holes on each one. So that I'm going to try to get to that point where I have a mold that has like 5 or 6 at least skulls in each mold and keep it, you know, decent size. You figure 6 of them, you know, if I can go about that big, might work well for it. All I can do is try. And I figured it's worth a try and making my own molds for them. See how that turns out. Anyway, enough of that. But he sent me, when I first saw this, I saw this and I died. Because at first, when I did it at a quick glance, I thought he had horns. I thought he's a little horny penguin, is what I thought it was. You know, and it's like, oh my goodness, no. It's... But he is just the cutest little thing. He looks like he comes apart. Does he come apart? Mr. Jimmie? I don't want to break him. Does he come apart? Let me know. But I get another cute little thing to add to my little collection. I had to find somewhere for him now. But anyway, there's that. But if you don't know, and if you don't want me to do, if you're interested in any of these, reach out to me. And one of these Brian had chosen. I think it was this one. Brian's like, I want to keep them all. And I was like, honey, can't keep them all. We're doing this so I can actually help to finance some of the paracord stuff that I give away. It's like it's starting to hit with the shipping and everything. It's starting to get a little bit hefty. I'll show you Brian's first because this one won't be available. But I need to buy some pilars to put them on. And Mr. Jimmie graciously sat there and did some different things on each one. And he did clear coat these. So those of you that don't like that smell that you get from handling these with handling copper, there is a couple coats of clear coat on that, and that should minimize how much smell. I don't even smell anything on my hands at all. So just to let you know, if that's something that turns you off on these, it won't. And I can honestly tell you, the rest of the knife is just steel. So it's one of those things, and that's mine. You can't have that. But I just need to buy the knives. Oops. Buy the knives to swap them out and put them. I have 2 available that's still for sale that I have listed. It's on my Instagram page, and I'll probably, once I get... I'll probably do a few at a time, because buying a bunch of knives at once is a nice chunk of change. But if it's one that you just want to get the scale, you have a Pilar, reach out to me. We can do that. You know, this, like a tiger stripe, that is gorgeous. And of course you see the one, he did one before that has a deeper Bengal stripe going on. Is gorgeous. So there's that. Let me put it so that way you can maybe not see it. Now this one is scratched and flamed is what he did on this one. And this turned out, look at the colors on that. I'm hoping this comes over at least halfway decently. But he did a scratch pattern, and then it also flamed, and you can see the coloring coming through on that. That one is awesome. So you got that. Now here's another scratched and flamed version. Slightly different. different scratch pattern. And of course, every time you flame something, it's going to look a little bit different. But isn't that just wonderful? That is, he does such an awesome job. He really does. So, and if you'd like to support him, he does a lot for the community. If you have some knives that you'd like to donate, reach out to him on Instagram. Send them to him, because if there's anything that he can do on them, like here, this is another one he did. He did the scales green for me, and the backspacer purple to keep me in the green club. You know, he's done a lot of knives. I mean, here's what started all of this, my original one that I had that Chris War Room sat there and clear coated it for me. But here's another one that's another cracked and flamed. That's cracked and flamed, not scratched, but cracked. You see the little like cracked lines that it's hard to pick up on this, but you can probably see a few. That is gorgeous. And here's another cracked and flamed. The coloring, and like you can see the crack, maybe the way it's done with the flamed a little bit better on this, or it just might be the angle that I'm hitting it at. But there is two of those. You got the two scratch pattern. You got that. There's the tiger stripe. He has the stone washed that he did. You can kind of see a little bit of the stonewash pattern. I'm going to sit there and I have one that I have an issue with that won't come apart. But see, just that. It's harder to see over the camera, but you can see the coloring's a little bit different where he's done the stonewash pattern. Sweet. So if you'd like more of just the basic type pattern, but it also has the clear coat, so that way it's keep the smell down, so you don't get that. He did 4 technically, but Brian's grabbed one of them, so you don't get that choice of the shipwrecked. Look at the blues on that. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? You got that one. Let's see if I can get this one out. And here's this one. And here's coming the last one. Does such an awesome job. But like I said, if you don't want me to get the knife and you have one, or you want to go ahead and get your own and swap them out, get with me. I mean, I'll sell them to scales only. It'll save me from having to spend money out to buy the knife and put them on, but I will do that, and that's what I will eventually do. But I'll probably buy like 3 or 4 knives at a time and just pick one here, there, and whatever to do each time. You figure if I do 3, and 3, yeah, if I buy 3 at a time, that'll take 3 batches to do over 3, 4, or 5 months, depending on how many I can come across them, because I got to try and keep the pricing inexpensive on my end, so that way I can sell them to you guys and still make some money to help fund my paracord stuff that I do for, yes, I have a bunch here that I'm still working on cutting and singeing and smushing, as I call it, that to give to different YouTubers. So anyway, I appreciate you guys, and I'll sit there and put a link to, well, there's a link down below to my Instagram. If you scroll back, you can see where the 2 that I have left available right now that's already on the knives. And eventually, if there's any of these that you see that you want, get with me and we can go from there. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Many hugs, many kisses, much love. Your friend Kelly. Bye-bye.